Hello and welcome to a new video. I thought today I would play a little bit of catch up and get caught up on my one take wrap up. So I haven't done one for April, May, so I thought I would combine the two and tell you all about the books I read in April, May, even though I know when this video is uploading it's already July. But I just got kind of behind. If you've never seen any of my one take wrap ups, it's in the title. I just wrap up what I read in the month in one take because I hate editing videos. So let's go ahead and get started since I have kind of a lot to catch up on. So in April, I read Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. I ended up giving that a 3 stars. I did really enjoy it. I thought the world was really magical and I thought it was a fun read, but it just didn't have, it's marketed as a cozy romance, but the romance just wasn't very strong in it. I thought the world was very cozy, and I liked the plot, but I just didn't really feel the romance. I thought the characters didn't have enough chemistry, and then everything at the end, like the conflict that there was, got wrapped up like so conveniently quickly at the end. And even one of the pieces doesn't even get like wrapped up, but that will, I think, go into the sequels. I didn't realize the sequels, I think, will have some of the same characters. So I enjoyed it, but I definitely didn't love it. But I'm glad I read it, and I probably will still read the other books. One of the best books I've ever read this year, and honestly in general. I read the first two in the series that they're like the pair duology, and that is Like Real People Do and Like You've Nothing Left to Prove, both by E.L. Massey. These are young adult, new adult really, romances. They're hockey romances. There's incredible mental health representation. There's disability representation. They're so good. I feel like I've already raved so much about them. Ignore the puppy barking. I just really loved these books so much. The characters are so sweet. I love their relationship. I love the conversations they have. I love the way that they talk to each other. I like the way that the relationship grows throughout the series. They're both 5 out of 5 stars for me, and I definitely will be reading more books by this author. I just haven't yet. Next, I have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a book I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I love Ali Hazelwood, but like I've never read this style of paranormal romance that is almost like a contemporary romance in a paranormal setting. So like it's not like a big, you know, sprawling series like fantasy series, but we've got these paranormal magical creatures in a more contemporary, like one-shot kind of story. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an incredible book. And I really liked the characters. I thought it was such a fun twist on a usual romance story. Like I said, I haven't read a lot of paranormal like this, so I really enjoyed it, and I believe I gave it a 5 stars because it was a fun time. Next, I have 9 Month Contract by Amy Dawes. That is another one that I did really enjoy. Amy Dawes is a favorite author of mine. I've only read a couple at this point, but every one I've read I've really enjoyed. This one I did like, and I gave it like a 4.5 stars. I thought the characters were really fun, and I liked their chemistry, and I really liked the premise. It was a very like unique story that I haven't seen before. She was a surrogate for the male main character, and it was just set up a really interesting dynamic that I've never seen before in a romance, and I really liked it. My con is that the end was quite rushed. Like the conflict of like reasoning for them not being together just didn't feel strong enough, and then like them getting over the conflict in the end just felt a little bit rushed. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I don't like it when surprise pregnancy romances skip over the whole end. It's like they have, a lot of times they'll focus on the like, oh, she got pregnant, and then we like skip to the end and like the baby's born. And this book kind of did that. I mean, they got like 6 months or something, I don't remember, and then they kind of skipped to the end, and that part I didn't like as much, but I still really enjoyed it, and I definitely want to read the next one in the series. Next, I read An Absolutely Bloody Disaster by Lindsay Clement. I really enjoyed this one. I haven't read the sequel yet, but I'm really excited. This one I read, I won in a giveaway, that's how I got it. and this is a young adult to maybe new adult vampire romance. A little light on the romance in the first book, but I think we'll you know, get there. The vampire main character, Charlotte, she has, you know, made some questionable choices in her, you know, long life. Sometimes she makes mistakes, kills a couple humans, you know, and that happens, and it sets off like a copycat string of some murders, and they're trying to figure out who's doing it. Is it another vampire? Is it this big, scary, long, you know, known enemy, that kind of thing. So it's a really fun cast of characters, and it's a really good found family, and I just really did enjoy it. I'm very interested to see where it keeps going, because these characters have such a rich history because they've lived for so long, and the dynamics between the relationships are very, very interesting, and I can't wait to see where they go. So very excited about that sequel. I gave this one a 5 stars. I had a lot of fun. I think I'm into May at this point, to be honest. I don't really know which book. Oh yeah, I'm already talking. That was the first book I read in May. It was an absolute bloody disaster. So next I have Unsteady by Peyton Corinne. I did like this one. I read a lot of hockey romances lately. I gave this one a 4.5 stars. I really liked the characters, and I liked the mental health representation in that it was like a slightly more serious, emotional book, and I liked the relationship and how they had to kind of find themselves first a little bit before they could like find each other. I did really like that. This is like, I couldn't find a way to describe the con. I only took it down half a star, maybe a star. I don't even know what the con is. There was just something that felt like it was missing. I don't know if it was something in the chemistry between the characters, something in the writing. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't a 5-star read for me. I don't really know why. I just didn't get that 5-star feeling. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this book. Look them up, and I think they're in the front of the book. But it's alcoholism, on-page panic attacks, medical trauma, abusive adults in their family, childhood neglect, that kind of thing. But if you need more details, you can look them up. Next, I read Dungeons and Drama and Dating and Dragons, both by Christy Boyce. These are YA romances. I really, really enjoyed them. I think I liked Dungeons and Drama better than I liked Dating and Dragons, but I enjoyed both of them. They were really cute YA romances. I loved the chemistry between the characters. Dungeons and Drama, I think, had like slightly more serious like family dynamics and like topics and like emotional journeys. The relationship, the main character, like navigating the relationships with her parents, her divorced parents, was really, really interesting to read, and I just liked the chemistry between those two characters a little bit more. How she like kind of had to enter his world of Dungeons and Dragons, whereas like that very much wasn't like her thing, but she does get into it and she really likes them, and there's like a little bit of fake dating sort of thing. So yeah, I really liked the first one, and I still really liked the second one. I just liked the first one better. I think I gave them both 5 stars. So Dating and Dragons follows two characters who are in the same Dungeons and Dragons group, and that one I really liked in the second one all of the discussion around like ex-friendships and how hard that is, and that was a really interesting storyline to read because I don't think enough books have kind of friendship breakups, so I did really enjoy that. Next, I read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This one was a really fun read. I read it almost entirely on a plane, or on 2 planes, I should say. Christina Lauren, I mean, they always hit the mark. They write such fun books. These were really interesting characters. It was really insane to see all of the rich characters in this book. The main character, he comes from a family with like insane amount of money. They own like a series of grocery stores, I guess. I didn't even think that was a lot of money, but I guess that makes sense. And it's just crazy to read about. I can't even imagine living life like that. And he has really kind of renounced himself from a lot of that, but it's very complicated, very toxic, abusive family relationships. It was literally crazy. But I had so much fun, and I really liked the dynamics between the main characters, and that they very openly talk about money, and they very openly talk about how that has influenced each of their lives in very different ways. And it was a very interesting premise, and I don't know, like, it was one of the ones where you had to suspend your disbelief just a little bit, but just kind of go with the flow. These characters got married, like, I think they said it was like 7 years ago. They got married so that they could move into the married housing on their college campus and save money. Is the married housing that much cheaper than, like, not being in the married housing? I'm not sure, but what do I know? But other than that, I did really enjoy it, and I still gave it a 5 stars. Next, I think my only nonfiction of the year so far is We Were Dreamers by Simu Liu. I really enjoyed this one. This is definitely, in terms of memoirs, he handled a lot of dark topics, like serious topics, childhood abuse, childhood trauma. Like, there's physical and emotional, like, there's a lot that goes through in this book, but it was written very beautifully, and I just think he's a really admirable person. I think he's got such heart and, like, openness and honesty, and I just think he seems really, really cool. I met him at Comic-Con 2 years ago, and he was really, really sweet, and I loved his panel. And I finally got around to reading his book. I listened to the audio, he read it, and it was really, really enjoyable. I gave it a 5 stars. Next, I read Burnout by Rebecca Jinshak. I did really enjoy this one. It was another sports romance. I've been reading a lot of sports romances lately. I did like this book. I liked the characters, and I liked the relationship. It just felt, a lot of it felt very surface level, considering that it had actually some, like, darker topics of, like, you know, referencing, like, childhood like abuse and, like, abandonment, and, like, a lot of trauma that they were having to process. And she had a serious injury, and so she was dealing with a lot of, like, the psychological stuff with that, but somehow all of that, it still felt kind of surface level for a lot of it. My biggest issue, the conflict in the end, it was my least favorite conflict, like, is the, like, oh, we can't be together because we don't want to be in a relationship, so we're not going to. It was like, that's not even a conflict. That's just a conversation. So, and this isn't the only book that has done that lately, so I think I was just kind of annoyed with it. The Amy Dawes book, that was kind of the same conflict in the end, and why I was kind of like, you know. The thing that really got me, that genuinely, I feel like this alone could have knocked it down a whole star, because I gave it a 4 stars. The male main character, I don't remember their names, he uses the word prissy to describe her, like, so many times. It was so irritating. I don't want to see that word once in a book, let alone, I think it had to be a dozen times. That word just, it just makes me mad. I think it's got a very negative connotation. I think it's very, like, a degrading word. And it was really pissing me off. So, I think I would try more books by this author, but definitely it wasn't a standout for me. Speaking of standouts though, Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This one was absolutely incredible. I'm so glad I followed up that other book with this book. This is a 5 out of 5 stars. One of my favorite books that I've read in a while. I do think it leans a little bit more women's fiction than straight romance, but I think it was really, really incredible. The childhood friends to lovers, my favorite trope, one of my favorite tropes, and surprise pregnancy. And what I liked about it so much is it wasn't the traditional surprise pregnancy book, why I liked the Amy Dawes one a lot too. She got pregnant by random one night stand, but falls in love with her childhood best friend, and he's completely like supportive. He's there for her. It's just a really, really incredible book. I had a lot of fun. The family like aspect of it, like the found family aspect of it with her best friend and then the guy she falls in love with, just really, really amazing. There are some trigger warnings in this one too. There a death of a parent or mention of parental figure, and then one of the other characters struggles with infertility and miscarriage, and that is discussed on page. But it was so well written and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely need to read more books by her. Next, I'm almost done. What else did I read in May? There's just a couple more. I read Mr. Hockey by Leah Riley. This was a really fun romance. This was like more novella length, but this was a romance about a librarian and then like the star of a hockey team. I told you I've read a lot of hockey romances lately. This one, I've read the whole series. I'll talk about the others in my June wrap up. But this was my favorite of the series for sure. I think I gave this one a 5 stars. It just had a lot of fun. Like the chemistry between the characters was so palpable, even in a novella that was only like maybe 200 pages. If that, it was just a really cute book, really spicy, really fun. I loved her passion for books. She was a librarian. She was a child librarian, a children librarian, I should say. And then he was a really fun character too, and I really liked his perspective on like playing the sport when he's had an injury, and on because his brother had a TBI, and that kind of changed how he approached the sport and how he felt about moving forward in his career, and it was just a really interesting conversation and I really enjoyed it. Lastly, 2 more. I read volumes 1 and 2 of Moon Knight by Jed MacKay, the Midnight Mission series, and then this volume 2 is called Too Tough to Die. I loved these. I read the rest in June, so I'll go over, I kind of just will speak on it as a whole really. I love Moon Knight, one of my favorite characters, and this series is no exception. It's maybe not, maybe don't love it as much as the Lemire run, if that's, I think that's the name, I don't know how to say it, but I did really, really, really love this. I thought it was so much fun. I thought the storytelling, the characters, it was such a unique perspective on Moon Knight, and I especially loved seeing the relationship between Stephen and Mark and Jake. It was a little bit different than we've seen in the past, and then Khonshu, his kind of part that he played in the story was really interesting, and I like how much Stephen, Mark, and Jake all stood up to Khonshu a lot in this series, and I just overall really enjoyed it. So that is my April and May wrap up. I will see you for the June one as well. I am trying to get caught up. I've done a lot of reading lately, and I've read a lot of books that I really have enjoyed. So I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!